So in this video, I interview Lauren and Michael from The Skinny Confidential, and we talk about Snapchat tips, how to create standout brands, and what it takes to turn your creativity into a career. Coming up. Hey, what's up everybody? Sean here with Video Influencers, and I'm sitting here with Lauren Everett and Michael Bostic from The Skinny Confidential. How's it going, guys?
Good, how are you?
Really good, really good.
Awesome, awesome. Now, if you haven't heard about The Skinny Confidential before, it is a killer blog, lifestyle blog that, especially for women, but has a hymn section now and has been doing that podcast that they have going on, a book out, and has been written about in Shape Magazine, in Self, and all over the place, like tons of press, tons of media coverage, as well as a YouTube channel and that online video piece coming into it. And so a lot of cool stuff happening there. But the first question is, how did this all start? Like, what's the story of the origin story of The Skinny Confidential and to where you ended up today?
So The Skinny Confidential started when I was attending San Diego State. I was bored out of my mind, unstimulated, and I saw all these sorority girls and there was no healthy food on campus. So I was kind of trying to create a platform and a community where I could connect with women everywhere and we could share our secrets as opposed to hiding it. You know, sometimes you ask a girl where she got that shirt and she says, I don't remember, even though she does. So the platform was the opposite of that, and the way that I figured I could reach everyone was a blog. It was kind of different at the time because this is like 6 years ago. So I kind of just really had everything planned out for a year and then launched it out. And it slowly grew and gained traction everywhere.
That's interesting. And then when did you guys, connect, and what is that like now?
You know what's funny is we connected when we were 12 years old. We dated in 6th grade. I don't know if you can call it dating. It's sure. Childish dating. And then,
dated.
And then
we're 12.
We went to high school together. We weren't dating all through high school, of course. I mean, that would be absurd. We both went off to our respective colleges, came back, got back together. She kept talking about this blog over and over and over. I was running a business of my own, and after about 30 dinner conversations about this blog, I said, look, you just got to pull the trigger. You just got to get it out there. And that's kind of how the
rest is history.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. And so they're engaged now.
Yes.
We're engaged for like 2.5 years.
We've been riding the engaged train for a while.
Okay, very cool. And then of course you work together. How is that like? So just to kind of start it off, I know that's a big thing that even co-founder Video Influencers, Benji and Judy, work together in business, and it can kind of create some dynamics. Isn't that true? So what have you learned about working together and the
we
good,
actually
the bad?
It could be one of the best partnerships ever because of our unique relationship where we are, we do share a bed and we are engaged. But all at the same time, it does get very difficult. I think just with any kind of company, you have to define the roles of what each individual's. We just talked about this the other day on our podcast. I think if you don't define the roles and you don't establish who's doing what, you're going to run into some trouble. Lauren does all the creative. I'm more on the business side. So we kind of, in the day-to-day, we don't.
Sometimes he thinks he's creative all of a sudden, and I have to put him right back in his place.
True.
It's kind of like a dance. Like he said, we were just talking about this on our podcast. It is like a dance. You have to, when he goes left, I go right. So you have to find that kind of way to work together, but there's definitely a dynamic there. I mean, it's different than just being in a relationship.
I would say in a nutshell, it's, define roles, but within those roles, make sure that you're both working towards the same common goal.
It's really good. So having clarity and a common vision.
Exactly.
So
Absolutely.
that there's not division, two different visions.
And a common strategy.
That's very
Strategy is very important.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So would you recommend it? So I know I'm probably, some people watching Video Influencers, man, should I get my spouse involved? Should I get my boyfriend involved?
I think that it depends on each relationship, and it depends, like if you have two really creative people that are extremely opinionated, I don't think putting them together in a business would work. For us, he's more business oriented and I'm more of the creative, so it does work. I think you have to really jive. And so it depends what business you're going into. It depends per situation.
Awesome. So you've now built up The Skinny Confidential for how many years?
It's been 6 years, 5 years blogging.
So 6 years, I mean, you're crushing it. You have all these different projects going on, but you started out at a certain point and have probably seen ups and downs. What has been the biggest obstacle and how did you overcome it?
The biggest obstacle, there isn't like one that stands out. There's tons of little obstacles. I was talking about this earlier today. There was a brand I collaborated with that took my voice and kind of scripted it. And I think that when you hire an influencer, you hire them for their voice and their platform and their community. And I think that you should let the influencer organically put it into their content. So the brand thing has been kind of interesting. Just recently I'm shifting focus and putting all my eggs in sort of the Skinny Confidentials basket as opposed to promoting other brands all the time. So I'm working on building my product line and kind of my own thing. So that's been a learning experience. Also just kind of making sure that I'm honing in on what's important and not getting too crazy. We were just talking about this earlier. The internet world has so many different things in it. You have to figure out what is like your niche, and you have to like fixate on that niche until it becomes great and you can grow outward from there.
Can you expound on that a little bit? So niche is something that kind of gets thrown around a lot, but that is super powerful. What are maybe like just another layer of depth on a powerful niche versus something that's not specific or focused enough and gets lost in the noise?
I can kind of speak on this. I see so many people making a mistake when they start out, where they put out a product, they write some good content or film some good content, and they capture an audience. And what they do is, instead of focusing on that audience and really growing with them and providing them with the content that they fell in love with in the first place,
making them their soldiers.
They get really nervous about the numbers. This industry, as you know, is really, really focused on numbers. So people get a little bit insecure about that, and they start trying to capture everyone when maybe that content is not meant for everyone. It's meant for that certain audience they cater to. And so I think the difficulty is people not like losing their niche, and they don't realize that niche is actually what's going to make them explode.
It's very powerful.
It's huge.
So like if you know all about rabbits, and rabbits is like your thing, and you have a blog on rabbits, and then you decide, oh, you're gonna blog about horses, but your audience is all about rabbits. Like, find your niche and just own it and do everything you can do to be the genius on rabbits.
Yeah.
That's kind of a random.
Go even deeper.
Talking about business, and then all of a sudden going in and saying like, "Hey, I'm an excellent pastry chef." People are like, "What the hell is this guy talking about?"
Sure.
It just doesn't make sense.
Very good. Now, talking about blogging specifically, what would you say the ingredients of a successful blog are?
I would say the ingredients of a successful blog are letting your voice shine through the screen. And owning that that's your voice. Like, if you're really funny, let that come through. If you're witty, if you're kind of depressed, let that come through the screen, and that's how you're gonna capture that readership. Provide beautiful content. For instance, don't take your pictures at night in orange light. Make sure you're taking them during the day. Consistently post and give them content. Content is so important, and I'm learning that through Snapchat right now. I mean, you can only take so many selfies. So now if I take a selfie, I'll provide content, what lipstick I'm wearing, how I like my hair with this certain product. Every single thing I do, I want to have content and value to the reader. And if you look at it like that, you're kind of slowly growing a business in tons of different ways, while also engaging with the reader and knowing that the reader's number one.
Yeah, my answer is very simple. It's just authenticity and value. That's it. Provide the reader or the viewer value and authenticity, and you have a formula for success.
Now, of course, our audience are video influencers specifically, but what would you say to them if they wanted to start a blog, and should they consider starting a blog, and then vice versa? And we talked a little bit about this even before we started the shoot. You're kind of about getting more into video. What do you think about the importance of maybe being on those multiple places, and is that something you'd recommend?
I think that if you're on a video platform, you need to have some sort of other platform, like a splash page or a blog or something that ties that in, just because we are on the internet, and you have to have something that like kind of shows your work, like a resume. If you're a blogger and you're not incorporating video, in my opinion, you're doing it wrong. You gotta evolve. Yeah. You gotta get on Snapchat, you gotta get on Periscope, you gotta try all these platforms. So I think it absolutely intertwines. You kind of can't do one without the other, in my opinion. And even if it is just a splash page that you guys get that just shows your video and shows people where to subscribe to your YouTube channel, I think just having that space on the internet is extremely important.
Yeah, I think it's important to have each of these spaces, but like we were talking about earlier, you got to play to your strengths. I have an Instagram that does terribly compared to what Lauren does, and I feel like I shine on Snapchat. I can actually put my authentic self out there. I don't mind how I look. I shoot it raw, and so
another shameless plug.
Another shameless plug. Yeah. So I thrive on a platform like that, but I do still use Twitter and Facebook and Instagram to drive people to my Snapchat, and I think that it's important to recognize all the avenues out there.
Now, one of the things that's amazing about the Skinny Confidential is the brand aesthetic. And you already mentioned, like, take quality photos, but just everything that you put out is quality. and it does stand out. What do you think are the elements of a remarkable brand, the things that influencers should think about if they're not brand minded, and your tips there?
Okay, so if you are on the internet, you need to create a brand, in my opinion. And to do that, if you don't have that creativity to create a brand, I think that you should go to a local college and hire interns that do have that kind of creative vibe. I think a brand is what makes you stand out on the internet. I happen to love branding. In fact, I think I even like it more than blogging. It's my favorite thing. But sometimes that also gets in the way of my work because I want everything to be perfect and cohesive, and like just all my platforms need to be kind of aligned and the same. As far as my aesthetic, I make sure every nick and cranny, again, fits the brand. The pictures are the same. Just so when you spot something, you know it's the Skinny Confidential. Like there's no wondering what that is. That was really important to me. And again, if you're not into branding, find someone that is and get them on your team, even if it's an intern. I think branding is so important.
Yeah, no, it's huge. I mean, the branding, even if it's personal branding, is huge. I think, if someone hears the Skinny Confidential, they don't just think about Lauren, they think about everything with composite. Like, take Tom Ford, for example. Tom Ford's name is on, clothing stores. But when you think about the clothes, you think about him. And when you think about the name, you think about the clothes. You know what I mean? It's all encompassing. It's important.
That's really good. And if somebody was maybe still kind of in that solopreneur stage and maybe they're not going to reach out to somebody else, is there anything that they could do to level up their skills? Because you guys get it. You get it. You designed it. And so there's a level of natural talent there, but is there any tips or resources or things that somebody could go through, things to look at to help if they just want to make a makeover on their YouTube channel?
I think when branding, one thing that's very important is consistency, right? Don't launch product A and then turn to product B and expect people to understand what the brand is, right?
Yeah.
Aesthetically, I stay out of that. I let Lauren handle
Thank
all
God.
of that.
Sometimes he tries to stick his nose in there and I put it right out. I think that you should, this is such a random tip, but I think you should go to Rite Aid and buy a huge poster board and set it in front of you. And I think you should pick 3 colors that you're doing and 2 fonts and just write down the vibe of the site. Do you want someone to come on and feel sad? Do you want them to be happy? Do you want them to be mad? My site, I wanted someone to come on and have a breath of fresh air. So they're picking up tips and tricks. It's a very woman-heavy community, but men can also come on. I wanted it to be sassy and sexy and spicy. So I wrote all this down on this huge poster board on the back. I had my colors. I even went to the paint store, and those paints, swatches that you can get at Home Depot. I pulled the paints I wanted. I almost took my blog like I was building the foundation of a house. And then I interior designed the house by picking the colors and what pictures were going to go on there. And I mean, it's a huge undertaking to brand. It's not something that just comes out of nowhere. So get a poster board, write down your ideas, write down your vibe. It doesn't have to come to you in one day. Do it over time and you'll be golden. That
wasn't a random tip at all. That was
And don't underestimate the power of branding, because as you can see, I mean, it's so important. People think they can just come up with a name and shoot it out there. You really got to keep it consistent. You got to keep it, flowing.
Man, brilliant. Now, one of the big topics that we cover on Video Influencers is how to turn your creativity into a career. And you've done that. And specifically, people are always asking this question, what does monetization actually look like to monetize a blog? For YouTubers or video creators, sometimes it's going to be AdSense and a mix of affiliate marketing and some other things. What is the progression like? I mean, you started from zero.
I started with nothing, and I didn't make a dime for 2 years. So if you're expecting to come into this business and get rich quick, this isn't the business for you.
Probably the same for video influencers, right?
100%.
Yeah, totally. So I just think that you should come into this with a passion. You have to love it. And then on the monetization side, I would say that I don't really look towards AdSense or ads at all, because one, I think they ruin the aesthetic and the experience for the reader. And recently I've just kind of nixed ads altogether. The money was okay, but it wasn't something that's a game changer. I am looking towards my brand as a long-term thing, not a short-term thing. So for me, AdSense is very fleeting. It's not something that's like a real, like legitimate thing that I can like invest in. I think picking the right partnerships for your brand is really important. So that's a way to monetize partnerships and sponsorships. A brand will come to you. They'll offer to pay you an amount of money to showcase their brand in your own voice with your own pictures and your own content. That's a really great way. You can also, be on social media like Instagram and Snapchat, Facebook. You can monetize there. You can also monetize through affiliate networking, like reward style or shop style. Again, choosing the platform that's right for you is really, really important. And then there's also other things like the book, speaking, going in front of people and talking like a kind of like Gary Vee does, video content, product. The sky is the limit with the internet. You can really take this anywhere. You can create a home decor line, you know what I mean? There's so many different things you can do. But my advice is, again, start small, just work at it, chip away, and the stuff will come and you'll be able to monetize, and make sure you pick the right stuff for you and for your brand.
Yeah, and to hone in on that, on picking the right stuff, like be very careful on your short-term gains that you're not getting off of the brand message.
I've seen a lot of
people are going to want to take a short-term monetary gain.
Yeah.
Because of the money, and they are going to get away from their brand, which we're going to, going back to branding, it's going to ruin what they have built. So don't go for 2 years building this beautiful brand, grab a short-term gain, and f it up.
Yep.
You really got to
make sure it's right.
Make sure your partnership is something that your reader base or your viewer base isn't going to say, what are they doing?
Right.
Yeah.
I also think that off of what you do, you can create other things. For instance, the Skinny Confidential, a lot of people have liked the branding. So what I did is I created a company with a girlfriend named Erica. She's a graphic designer, called BlogDo. And what we do is we create a mood board and a brand and a blog for these girls that want to become bloggers. So it's obviously BlogDo is different than the Skinny Confidential, but it's kind of all trickled down. So you can do different things like that.
Yeah, the sky's the limit in terms of monetization. Just got to be careful and targeted and, patient.
Yes, patient. A lot of patience.
Decide what, don't think a year out, think 10 years out what you want your brand message to be and what you want to accomplish throughout there. She did the book. I think she's going to work on another book.
We have the podcast. That's another way you can monetize too through that. But again, I'm not looking at it like, how do I make money right away? It's going to be a slow build.
I don't think there's ever been anything what we've launched with this and said, even from the beginning, said, how do we make money on this, right?
Yeah.
That just hasn't been how it's
I feel like, and you know this,
yeah.
If you're in this industry for only money and that's your first priority, get out.
Yep, absolutely.
I think that's any business though, honestly. I come from a more traditional business background, and I think if you're only doing something for the money, you're going to set yourself up for failure. It's just not a good enough reason to pursue something with passion.
Okay, so we're in the lightning round. My question is, what does lightning look like if you were to do like a human interpretation with sound effects?
It's like...
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't, lightning looks like the lightning emoji to me.
So do it.
Well, that's like...
Lightning round. 3, 2, 1. Coffee or tea?
Coffee. Iced cinnamon.
Talking or texting?
Texting. You're gonna copy me on all my answers.
No, but
you always do this.
Biggest food choice mistake most people make?
GMOs.
That's not my expertise.
Yes, I know. You would say eating too much because you're not attached to food.
Oh yeah, that's true. I'm not attached to food so much. I use it as like a fuel source, and I think that people are gluttonous and they overdo it.
Yes.
Would you rather live 10 100-year lives or one 1,000-year life?
I would rather live one 1,000
So would
life.
I. He's gonna copy me on everything.
Why? Because I feel like I can accumulate a lot more knowledge and power in that 1,000 years. Every time I got to reset at 100.
Wait, I would have to be with him for 1,000 years?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm just kidding.
Person you trust most with a secret?
My chihuahuas.
Probably Lauren. That's the right answer. That's the right answer, engage guys.
Yeah.
That's the right answer.
Last thing you grabbed out of the fridge?
Coffee.
Apple.
Must binge watch Netflix show?
House of Cards.
Yeah, House of Cards. I'm not trying to copy you, but it's true.
Told you he was gonna copy me.
Favorite place in the whole world?
Cabo.
New York City.
Favorite nickname for yourself?
The Skinny Confidential.
I don't think I have a nickname.
I heard about it. I heard a nickname you have.
Susan?
Oh, Susan. Oh, you're not gonna own.
That's not my favorite.
No,
though.
it's actually Panicky Susan.
Okay.
Because he panics.
You heard about that?
Hashtag Panicky Susan.
Hashtag Panicky Susan.
Who would win between you guys in a freestyle rap battle?
Me.
You think? Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
Oh, no.
Yo, my name is Mike. I'm great on the mic. I like to
Maybe.
You said you would win.
I know it. Not on the spot like this.
That is what freestyle inherently is.
You are better. Wow, he's better at me than one thing.
Biggest pet peeve?
When people are late.
Oh my gosh, that's so unfair. I'm always late. My biggest pet peeve is slow. Just slow in general.
Inefficiency.
Or people that say they're gonna do something and don't execute it. I can't deal with that. Execute.
Cat or dog?
Dog.
Last song that you had on repeat?
Goldfinger.
Men at work, Land Down Under, Colin Hay, love the guy.
If you could only have one thing in a zombie apocalypse, one item, what would it be?
Can it be living and breathing?
That's not an item.
Okay,
You are
my
living
computer. 100%.
I would have a real, like an AR-15 because then I could take everybody else's
See, I would
stuff.
expect him to have that so I could have
So like if she had the computer and she was an enemy, I could take her out, take the computer, have both, then go to the next guy. You know?
No.
And what are you planning to do when the internet's crashed and like even the power grids are
I
down?
could still write, not just about the internet.
That's fair. That's fair. Solar panels.
Yep.
Favorite YouTube channel right now?
Gary Vee.
Yeah, Gary Vee.
He gets it.
Yeah.
Also video influencers.
Video influencers.
Video influencers.
Book every influencer should read.
Ooh, there's so many. Crush It, The One Thing, The Ask
The one
Gary Vee.
thing, managing oneself.
Managing
Growth
oneself.
hacker is important.
You have a book segment thing now.
Yes.
Yeah, I read a lot of books. Probably at least 3 to 4 a week. And,
He has him on the Skinny Confidential under him section. He has all his favorite books. He does a monthly book club.
Yeah, and so don't forget, we'll always link everything up, so we'll put all that in the description.
He's a big reader.
I just did one about deep work. I can't remember the author, but deep work. It's
kind of
about
valid.
basically getting in the zone and knocking out high-level tasks efficiently.
Also, every book that they should read is The Skinny Confidential too.
The Skinny Confidential.
Yeah, don't forget about that.
A book every influencer should read. Air dry or blow dry?
Blow dry. If you
Air dry, no, air dry.
I've seen you use a blow dryer once in a while.
No, I haven't. It's
Really?
been a few years.
Okay.
Go for the wet look.
Okay.
Lightning round, lightning round, lightning round. Do the things again. So you guys are going like all in on Snapchat right now.
Yes.
All in.
All in.
Why?
I think it's just the most authentic, raw look at someone's real life. I think everything else is so curated that you're not really sure if that's the true representation of what's really going on. I struggle with things like that because I don't know how to be anything but how I am, and we get in arguments about this because sometimes I'm a little too much. Maybe I'm not for everybody, but at the same time, I don't know how to be anything else but myself. So I like Snapchat. I like that I can capture a demographic of people that are going to identify with me. You know, they're interested in what I'm saying. They don't have to, you're not stumbling upon someone. They actually have to take the time to go find me, then click my story. So I like that, and I think it's really going to be
Powerful.
a game changer. It's powerful.
Yeah.
So it is something you would suggest that every video influencer needs to take very seriously and needs
Very
to.
seriously.
Yes and no. That's it. I think that you need to do what works for you. If your personality is not coming through the way it needs to come through to represent your brand on Snapchat, get off and get on another platform. I know a lot of bloggers that create the most beautiful images on Instagram and get so much traction on Instagram, and that's their platform. And then I see them on Snapchat and I'm like,
Well, I guess it just goes back to you want to make sure, and this is maybe a deeper issue, is maybe what they're representing on the blog is not a true representation. So if you're reverse engineering it, I don't know how to put something out there curated. I'm better at just throwing myself out there in an authentic way. Maybe some of these bloggers or YouTubers are better at putting out a curated thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
there's nothing wrong with that. You have to capitalize on what works for you. And if you're a video influencer,
But this gets off branding. Don't come back after you've put out an image of A and then come on Snapchat and represent B, because
Right.
all of a sudden you're going to confuse your listener, your viewer, your reader, whoever. It's not going to make sense to them.
if you're a video influencer though, and you are doing curated content, like you're like acting, and then you go on Snapchat and you're not maybe as likable, that sounds mean, but if you're not coming through the screen the way you should be coming through the screen, stick to the acting stuff. But if you're a video influencer and you already have this huge platform where everyone's in love with you, then get on Snapchat and show us snippets behind the scenes.
Yep.
But going back to the first point, if you're a fashion blogger and you're just an amazing fashion blogger that creates curated, beautiful images, and then you get on Snapchat and your personality is maybe not for Snapchat, get off. You know what I mean? I think you need to do what works for you.
100%. And then specifically, is there any kind of tactical tips that you guys have found? Now, I noticed one, I was reading even through your About page, and at the bottom of your About page is call to action to your Snapchat, which was probably a semi-recent update. I mean, Snapchat hasn't been out that long. So what are some of the things that you're doing to grow your Snapchat and even inside the platform itself that you've learned that could practically help people?
He actually taught me a lot about growth hacking. I think you should read that book if you guys are listening. I think it's really important to growth hack. So basically, my mothership is my blog, and I know that, so I use call to actions for everything that I want to press. So I want to press out Snapchat, so there is call to actions everywhere on the blog. On Instagram now, like, I'm more concentrated on Snapchat, so you'll see in my bio, it's a call to action. I think whatever platform that you want to drive traffic to, make sure there's call to actions everywhere.
Even a big one right now is your email signature. I think a lot of people, and this is even people that work in traditional office settings or traditional businesses, there's nothing wrong with having your Instagram, your Snapchat in your email signature.
Mine has my book, my podcast.
I think people are missing a huge opportunity there. You send emails all day long. Every day.
Even on your iPhone, like my iPhone is Lauren Everett's, underneath it Snapchat at Lauren Everett's. There's even on my iPhone signature. So I think it's important to make sure you're finding angles everywhere.
And people scared that their employer may see this. If they really want to see it, they're going to see it anyway, right? Everything's out there anyway. So you're not going to hide it. If you're putting yourself out there on social media, your employer will see it if they want to, even if you're not rubbing it in their face.
Yeah.
100%. Those are great tips. Now, what kind of stuff do you guys have coming up? What are the upcoming projects? And specifically, we've talked about a lot of cool stuff in the show, but where are you at, and what can people expect to find on the podcast, at the blog, etc.?
We have the podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes. We also put the podcast on YouTube. Check out my YouTube channel, The Skinny Confidential.
It's called The Skinny Confidential, Him and Her.
Him and Her.
And some other content on the YouTube channel as well.
There's lots of other content. There's tutorials. There's, just Snapchat Q&A is on there.
We just started doing a little bit of vlogging. We're working on that.
Vlogging.
It's new for us.
We eventually want to write another book. There's a product line coming out. Give us about 9 months. We've been working on that a lot. And then I have the Skinny Confidential Bombshell Body Guide, which is all my fitness and diet tips in like a packet, like an ebook with my grocery list, and we're rolling out meal plans. So that's kind of.
We're going to start rolling out some more him content. It's going to be a little bit different than what you normally see on the Skinny Confidential. A little bit more business, a little bit more travel, a little bit more.
He's becoming a bigger kind of character on there.
We're going to bring a different element. I mean, I think there's a huge audience that is now interested in blogging as a business, or
they're taking it more seriously
as a business. Yep. And there's a huge gap right now where a lot of people didn't even really understand that it could be a business, right? I mean, that's a new conversation that's starting to take place. So
it's like modeling. Like people were just a model. Now there's models that are like Miranda Kerr, and she has this huge line. Anything you do can turn into a business. So I think he provides.
I think it's important though for people to understand that. And this goes for any business. If you're gonna run a business, you need to run a business, and it's not as simple as just writing good content. You need to have the back end properly
ironed out,
oiled, and running.
We'll link, of course, everything up in the YouTube description below. And I just want to really thank you guys and just appreciate everything that you're doing. I mean, you add a ton of value to people. Your blog is amazing, and
thank you.
I'm getting value out of some of the posts that you mentioned on the Ask Gary Vee show that I won't say on our show, but you have to go watch his show to see that one. And then, but even just the podcast too, legit business advice that I've already been pulling out of that. And so thank you for sharing your answers, for inspiring people, for encouraging people. We really love what you're doing. What is just a final word of encouragement for video influencers specifically that are, whatever you would say, to keep going or to keep crushing it, to take things to the next level? Final word.
I would say have the best light you can possibly have, get the best equipment that you can possibly get interns, go at it, work at it every day and ship away, and one day, who knows, you might be the next Gary Vee.
I would say develop a thick skin. Don't be discouraged by comments. Use any negative feedback as constructive criticism. Don't get bogged down. Just keep pushing and don't give up.
And use video influencers as a resource, because they have amazing resources.
Thank you so much. Pound it, explode it. Exploding.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
That was fun.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun.
What's that thing you do?
Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, that's Palpatine.
Who doesn't watch Star Wars? Drives me nuts.